You open YouTube to learn one thing, just one. Maybe it was about discipline or confidence or how to finally stop procrastinating. But somehow, 40 minutes becomes 3 hours. Now your tabs are full of productivity videos, psychology breakdowns, dopamine explanations, business advice, storytelling tutorials, self-improvement podcasts, and weirdly, after consuming all of it, you still didn't start. The project is still untouched. The email is still unsent. The video still isn't uploaded. The idea still lives only in your head. And now it's late, again, so you tell yourself the same thing you always do. Tomorrow I'll do it properly. But deep down, you already know something feels wrong. Because this isn't laziness. Lazy people don't spend hours obsessing over becoming better. Lazy people don't mentally rehearse their future every night before sleeping. Lazy people don't carry this constant, invisible frustration, this exhausting feeling that their mind is capable of more than their life reflects. No, something else is happening, something far more dangerous. Your intelligence slowly became a hiding place, and if you've ever felt mentally exhausted, despite barely moving forward in life, this video may explain you with uncomfortable accuracy. Because today, we're going to uncover why intelligent people often struggle to take action, why self-awareness quietly turns into paralysis, and how some of the smartest people slowly become trapped inside their own potential. There's a very specific habit intelligent people rarely talk about. They rehearse life instead of living it. You see it everywhere once you notice it. The creator who redesigns the thumbnail 6 times, but never uploads. The student who spends more time organizing study plans than studying. The person who rewrites a text message 3 times, because they're terrified of sounding stupid. The future entrepreneur with 12 business ideas and 0 execution. The intelligent employee constantly imagining leaving their job, while staying in the same chair for 5 years. From the outside, these people look thoughtful, disciplined, careful, but internally, most of them are trapped in constant mental simulation, always preparing, always refining, always thinking. And the terrifying part is, thinking feels productive enough to hide the problem. That's why intelligent people can stay stuck for years without realizing it. Because their avoidance doesn't look like avoidance. It looks like self-improvement, research, optimization, learning, waiting until they're ready. But readiness becomes addictive because readiness protects you from reality. Action doesn't. The moment you act, your fantasy collides with evidence. Now there's judgment, failure, metrics, embarrassment, comparison, proof. And intelligent people often struggle with this more than anyone else. Because intelligent people usually build identity around potential very early in life. You're gifted. You're smart. You have so much potential. Sounds harmless. But psychologically, those words create a dangerous relationship with failure. Because now your intelligence stops being something you use. It becomes something you protect. And once intelligence becomes identity, action becomes emotionally risky, because action can expose limitations. Think about the talented artist who never posts their work. As long as the art stays hidden, they can still believe they're exceptional. But once the work becomes public, reality enters. Now strangers can ignore it, criticize it, mock it. Now the fantasy becomes measurable. And intelligent people often fear that moment more than failure itself, because failure hurts. But discovering you're ordinary, that attacks identity. So instead of risking disappointment, many intelligent people quietly choose imagination over exposure. They build entire futures inside their heads, instead of building them in reality. And over time, this creates one of the most painful emotional states a person can experience: unrealized potential. Not failure, potential, because failure at least gives closure. Potential does something worse. It keeps whispering, "You could have been more." Have you noticed how intelligent people are often mentally exhausted? Even when they haven't physically done much, that exhaustion is real. Because overthinking burns enormous psychological energy. Your brain becomes a prediction machine. Most people see one or two outcomes. You see 20. You don't just imagine success. You imagine rejection, awkwardness, future regret, social judgment, wasted effort, hidden consequences, failure scenarios, humiliation all at once. Imagine someone wanting to start a YouTube channel. The average person records badly, uploads anyway, improves slowly through repetition. But the intelligent creator, they study audience retention, watch storytelling breakdowns, analyze thumbnails, research pacing psychology, learn color theory, obsess over branding, rewrite scripts endlessly, watch editing tutorials at 2 a.m. and 6 months later, they still haven't uploaded. That's the hidden tragedy of intelligence without tolerance for imperfection. You become addicted to preparation because preparation feels safe. Preparation keeps the dream pure. Action exposes reality, and reality is terrifying when your self-worth is attached to being intelligent. This is why intelligent people often procrastinate in strangely sophisticated ways. Not obvious laziness, intellectual procrastination. You convince yourself you're progressing because mentally, you are moving. Your brain is constantly active, constantly processing, constantly improving theories, but your real life stays frozen. And neuroscience explains why this trap feels so convincing. Your brain can release dopamine during imagined progress, meaning thinking about success can emotionally resemble moving towards success. That's why intelligent people can spend hours planning their future and still feel strangely accomplished afterward, even if nothing changed. Your mind rewards the fantasy, not the execution, which is dangerous, because eventually, thinking becomes emotionally more comfortable than living. And once that happens, you slowly disconnect from action itself. Some intelligent people don't actually fear failure, they fear visible failure. There's a difference. Failing privately hurts your ego. Failing publicly threatens identity. That's why intelligent people often avoid beginner stages. Because beginner stages are humiliating, especially for people used to feeling capable internally. You see this constantly. The intelligent musician who quits after sounding mediocre at first. The smart student who avoids subjects they aren't naturally good at. The writer who deletes unfinished drafts nobody even saw. The creator who records videos, watches them back once, then quietly deletes everything, not because the work was terrible, because imperfection felt emotionally unbearable. Perfectionism is rarely about excellence. Most of the time, it's fear wearing expensive clothes. And intelligent people become extremely vulnerable to this, because intelligence increases self-awareness. You notice flaws faster, weaknesses faster, social mistakes faster. You hear the awkward tone in your own voice. You notice tiny imperfections nobody else even saw. And eventually, your inner critic becomes louder than your ambition. That's why intelligent people often live strangely divided lives. Externally calm, internally brutal. People think you're composed, but they don't see the constant mental pressure underneath. The replaying, the analyzing, the self-monitoring, the invisible panic over wasting potential. The fear that time is moving faster than your courage. And maybe the worst part, you become self-aware enough to recognize the problem, while still feeling unable to stop it. That creates a very specific kind of psychological pain. Because now, you can watch yourself self-sabotage in real time. There's another hidden reason intelligent people struggle with action. Their mind becomes safer than reality. Reality is unpredictable. Reality contains embarrassment, rejection, uncertainty, but inside your mind, everything stays controllable. That's why some intelligent people become emotionally addicted to overthinking. Overthinking creates the illusion of control. If you analyze enough, maybe you can avoid pain. Maybe you can avoid mistakes. Maybe you can avoid looking stupid. But life doesn't reward perfect analysis. It rewards movement despite uncertainty. And this is where intelligent people quietly lose years of their lives. Because while they're trying to eliminate risk completely, less intelligent but more action-oriented people keep moving. Messily, imperfectly, publicly. The average creator uploads bad videos and improves. The intelligent creator waits for mastery before beginning. The average person applies for jobs underqualified. The intelligent person waits until they feel fully ready. The average entrepreneur launches imperfectly. The intelligent one keeps optimizing the business plan forever. And eventually, this realization becomes emotionally devastating. Execution often beats intelligence, not because intelligence is useless, but because intelligence without courage becomes paralysis. And paralysis is dangerous because it feels intelligent while it's destroying your future. That's why so many intelligent people secretly feel behind in life, not because they lacked ability, because they spent too much time mentally rehearsing life instead of participating in it. You know what's ironic? Intelligent people often understand psychology better than everyone around them. They know about dopamine, trauma responses, avoidance behavior, perfectionism, nervous system regulation, yet they still struggle, because awareness alone does not change behavior. Sometimes awareness actually deepens paralysis. Now you don't just feel anxious. You analyze the anxiety while experiencing it. You intellectually understand your self-sabotage, while continuing it anyway. That creates exhaustion, like having 50 browser tabs open simultaneously inside your skull. Constant processing, constant stimulation, constant anticipation. Even resting becomes difficult, because your brain never fully powers down. You're brushing your teeth while imagining future conversations, taking showers while replaying old embarrassments, trying to sleep while mentally rebuilding your life at 1:43 a.m. And people around you don't understand it. They say, just stop thinking. But that's like telling someone with insomnia, just sleep. Your brain adapted to constant prediction a long time ago. For many intelligent people, overthinking began as protection. Maybe you grew up feeling judged constantly. Maybe mistakes were punished harshly. Maybe intelligence became the thing that earned you validation. So your brain learned, if I think enough, I can prevent pain. And eventually, thinking stopped being a tool. It became survival. But survival mode is exhausting when carried into adulthood, because eventually, your own mind becomes the environment trapping you. Here's the part most intelligent people avoid admitting. Sometimes, you are not protecting your future. You are protecting your ego. That's why preparation feels emotionally safer than execution, because preparation allows infinite fantasy. Action creates evidence, and evidence can wound identity. A person who never uploads still gets to imagine they could have succeeded. The novelist who never publishes still gets to believe they had talent. The entrepreneur who never launches still gets to fantasize about greatness. But once reality enters, the imagination loses control, and some intelligent people would rather protect the fantasy forever than risk discovering reality feels smaller than they hoped. That truth is brutal, but necessary, because the person ruining your future might be the version of you trying hardest to feel intelligent. Read that again psychologically. Your intelligence itself is not destroying your life. Your attachment to appearing intelligent is. That's the real trap. Intelligence became emotional armor. Preparation became hiding. Self-awareness became paralysis. Potential became identity. And eventually, thinking replaced living. So how do intelligent people escape this? Not through more productivity hacks. Not through consuming another 100 hours of self-improvement content. Not through endlessly trying to optimize themselves. The shift begins when you stop worshiping potential and start respecting evidence. Not, what could I become? But, what did I actually build? Not, what do I understand intellectually? But, what discomfort can I tolerate repeatedly? Because confidence is not created through thinking. Confidence is created through surviving reality, surviving embarrassment, rejection, imperfection, beginner stages, awkward attempts, bad first drafts. That's what rewires the nervous system. Not theory, experience. The intelligent creator who finally uploads imperfectly changes more psychologically in 1 week than during 3 years of silent preparation. Because action teaches your brain something overthinking never can. I can survive reality. And once your nervous system learns that, fear slowly loses authority, not instantly, slowly, quietly but genuinely. Maybe your problem was never intelligence. Maybe intelligence just gave you more sophisticated ways to hide. Hide behind research. Hide behind optimization. Hide behind self-awareness. Hide behind perfectionism. Hide behind preparation. Because preparation feels productive enough to avoid confronting the truth. The truth that eventually destroys people is not failure. It's realizing years disappeared inside hesitation. And intelligent people often feel this pain silently. You'll see it late at night, when someone stares at the ceiling feeling strangely behind in life, not because they lacked ambition, but because their mind became better at imagining life than participating in it. So if this video felt painfully specific, good. That means part of you is finally recognizing the pattern honestly. This channel was built for people like that. Quiet thinkers, overanalyzers, people with hidden ambition buried underneath hesitation, people exhausted from carrying entire futures inside their minds without building them in reality. People finally realizing that intelligence means nothing if fear controls where it gets used. So build slowly, build imperfectly, build before you feel ready, and stop protecting the version of yourself that only exists in imagination. Because eventually, the life you keep mentally rehearsing will demand to be lived for real.